Hey there, welcome back to another episode. This is Coach Troy with Tate Fitness, and today I want to talk about another old school oral anabolic androgenic compound. Just like my previous video, I talked about Dianabol. Well, this video is about this. It's happened to be the strongest oral anabolic compound that's ever been made, and that is Anadrol, also known as Anadrol 50. Chemical name would be Oxymetholone. And the 50 meaning 50 milligrams per tablet or per dosage. That's why they use the 50 at the end of Anadrol, Anadrol 50. So it's not Anadrol 10 or Anadrol 25. And it's also known as A-bombs. That was a nickname they called the Anadrol 50s. Now a little history on Anadrol or Oxymetholone. It was first described and came out into the market in 1959. Then the company Syntex brought it to the consumers in 1960. They also called Anadrol Android by Park Davis and Company, which ended up being bought out and sold to Pfizer in the year 2000. So it was primarily used with patients with severe anemia, meaning very, very low red blood cell count. It was for patients through cachectic states or having the aptitude of cachexia, which is a muscle wasting disease caused by either heart problems or heart issues or heart failure, AIDS wasting disease, or through progressive chronic diseases that leads to catabolism to muscle, or basically catabolic properties of muscle wasting properties. And now due to deleterious issues with the Anadrol, how it affected the body negatively, especially on the liver, it being very liver toxic, they came out with other anabolics and androgens that were in better suited use, like testosterone and Anavar and EPO, which is something that helps with raising red blood cell count, and growth hormone actually too. So they ended up kind of disregarding and cutting out Anadrol completely off the market in the United States by the early 2000s. Now, medical uses for Anadrol or Oxymetholone. As I previously just mentioned, it was used for basic chronic anemia situations with payments, mainly chemotherapy patients that undergo chemotherapy for the reduction of the bone marrow issues that were caused by chemotherapy. The red blood cell count would be dropped. So patients were put on Anadrol therapy, and they would take up to sometimes 2-3 tablets or servings a day. So they go up to 150 milligrams of Anadrol daily to increase erythropoietin levels in the body, which is raising the red blood cell counts. And it would help increase that levels up to 5 times in the body. Now I'll go on to the chemical structure of oxymetholone. Anadrol or oxymetholone is a DHT derivative. It's a synthetic androsten steroid and a 17-alpha alkylated or methyl alkylated derivative of DHT, dihydrotestosterone. Chemical structure is 2-hydroxymethylene 17A methyl 4,5A dihydrotestosterone. Also is an agonist to the androgen receptor, and it's not 5-alpha reductase related because it's already 5-alpha reduced, and it's a poor substrate for 3-hydroxysteroid dehydrogenase. Therefore, the anabolic properties are pretty much lifted, and it's less androgenic due to those capacities. Now, why do bodybuilders and powerlifters take Anadrol? Well, due to the pharmacokinetics and how it breaks down through the methylated system, it basically has a strong adrenergic signaling through taking it through a sports performance training vector. If you take it maybe like 1 hour before you train, as I mentioned a long time ago on one of my first videos about oral anabolics and androgens, taking it sublingual underneath the tongue, and it kind of bleeds out and goes into the system and gives you that performance training vector minus some of the liver and hepatotoxicity that these oral agents can carry. But like I said, the adrenergic effect, the umph effect, the kind of like an epinephrine or adrenaline effect that is kind of substituted through the training vector of the oral consumption of the Anadrol, is why a lot of these powerlifters and bodybuilders take it for that pre-workout inertia. And a lot of them, basically if you're stronger before you train, by taking the Anadrol, it's going to give you some more muscle contraction, hopefully some more hypertrophy, and basically higher weights being lifted and contractile muscle being functionally perpetuated through this training vector. So not fully elucidated yet, but they say that not only does it affect the adrenal or the androgen receptors, it also affects the progesterone receptors too, is what's thought to be said. So basically androgen and progesterone receptors being binded together for that binding affinity for signaling, for the adrenergic release, or the pre-workout vector. Also the glucocorticoid and mineralocorticoid receptors also being attenuated and inflicted through the adrenal glands is said to be some of the performance training vector that you can get through Anadrol or taking Anadrol 50 pre-workout. Now I'll go on to some of the side effects of Oxymetholone or the Anadrol. Water retention, high estrogenicity, very estrogenic. So you're going to have estrogenic attributes leading to acne, like I said, water retention, gynecomastia. A lot of people take aromatase inhibitors, AIs, and SERMs, selective estrogen receptor modulators, to negate some of the estrogenicity that they're basically perpetuating by taking the Anadrol. Kind of parallel to Dianabol in a sense, even though Dianabol is a testosterone derivative and Anadrol is a DHT derivative. Functionally speaking, they kind of perpetuate some of the same estrogenicity, because they both don't aromatize. Anadrol being already a DHT derivative, there's no aromatization. But that being said, they're both estrogenic and progesterogenic in the sense of they can release some of those issues of those kinds of problems. Also, androgenic alopecia, male pattern baldness. Anadrol 50, if taken too many, depending on genetics again, and genetic propensity, genetic translation of who's taking it. But some of these guys popping 5, 6, 7 Anadrol 50s a day, you're gonna get, even one Anadrol 50 a day in a lot of people, it suppresses appetite. So they lose appetite. It does affect the GI tract and liver big time, okay? So not only that, it's going to offset the suppression of the HPT axis, the hypothalamus pituitary testicular axis, and it's going to cause symptoms of ASIH, anabolic steroid-induced hypogonadism. So you got to be really careful popping too many of these Anadrols. And like all the other compounds, no one takes Anadrol by itself usually. They're going to mix it with other compounds like testosterone, or another testosterone derivative like equipoise or boldenone, and other DHT derivatives like pervirin, masteron, anavar. The list goes on and on and on. So compounding effects by mixing things, conjunctively speaking, can cause compound side effects, okay? So user beware, be very, very careful. And like I said, I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't condone anybody doing any of this kind of stuff. But you've got to be very careful on what you're doing and how you're doing it due to these side effect issues. It also crushes lipid profile, your cardiovascular issues. So it suppresses HDL and drops it like crazy and raises LDL, low density lipoproteins. So there are effects of endothelio damage to the lining of your arteries, okay, the internal lining of your arteries. So you got to be very, very careful with that. Due to the 17A alpha methylated system, the alkylation of how it digests through the body, skips first pass, stays in the liver and tumbles through the liver depending on how long the Anadrol is in the system, with its half-life not being completely fully elucidated as well. But any oral component or 17A alkylated, methyl alkylated component skipping first pass, doing damage to the liver, maybe in the kidneys too, you're looking at a long duration of side effects of, like I said, endothelio side effects to the arteries, liver, the GI tract, and the list goes on and on and on. I'm not even dipping into fully what it can do. And when I say can do, it doesn't mean it's going to happen to everybody. but it can happen. I'm never going to say that it can't happen, okay? So the positives create negatives on all these things when you come to anabolics or androgens, okay? So you're going to get these great workouts, great pump, contractile new muscle, lifts in the gym going up, but damage to your liver, damage to your kidneys, damage to your cholesterol profile, your GI tract, suppression of appetite, so on and so on, just like I already kind of mentioned. But hey, if you want to know any more information on this kind of stuff, more on androgens and anabolics, pros and cons, so I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you straight. I'm going to be very transparent on what these things can do effectively and negatively. So contact me on the email below or get a hold of me on the Instagram here, and please leave comments in the comment section. I appreciate you guys listening to my videos and watching them. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic day and take care. Bye-bye.